Welcome back to another episode of The Goodall Show, where we learn how to grow, we motivate you to grind, and we encourage you to give. I'm James Goodall, your host. We are in the midst of a bunch of fall cleanups. We have 48 fall cleanups on the schedule this week. I don't know if we'll get to all of them. Might blend in a little bit to next week. And then we got 4 Christmas lights installations. We got to get those done. They want them up by this week. So we'll get those 4 Christmas lights done. And then we'll get those fall cleanups done next week. And then that'll be it for the season. And then we got to put away the mowers, got to clean them, change the oils, all that winterizing stuff that we got to do. And then we got to get the blowers down from up in the attic or up in our loft there. Get them down, get them ready to go, hook up the plows, and we're ready for the snow season. Hopefully it doesn't snow right away. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want it to snow right after we get done with fall cleanups. I'd like a couple weeks in there to prepare for it. I actually had a conversation with Jeff from Western Plow Company, and I've been in conversation with them for like the last 2 months about maybe them giving us a plow. They contacted me. They saw my TikToks, and they said, hey, we'd like to work with you. And I was thinking, hey, maybe they'll give us some gear, or they give us maybe a little spreader or something. But he said, hey, we're thinking about getting you guys a plow, which blew my mind. A free plow with the wings. It's I think an 8-foot plow, and then it got the 2 wings extension, maybe a 7-foot plow, and then 2 on each side. But it is massive, and it's going to move a lot of snow for us, which, like I said, blew my mind that they would do that for us. So I'm extremely grateful. If they would have just sent us gear, that would have been great for me. But they wanted to do something crazy in my mind, and they're sending us a plow. We're getting that hooked up here in the next month or so. Hopefully, they're in back order. I got a b-ball tournament coming up. I'm recording this on Tuesday. Got a b-ball tournament coming up Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Tomorrow, Thursday, and Friday, and then I'll upload this on Saturday. But hopefully, we win that. Pray for us. Last week, we emphasized Giftology, the book of the week. And we're going to get to a phone call here, a guy from Utah. I'm about to call him as soon as I get done with this intro. But we talked about Giftology and sending gifts that matters. Hopefully you read it. If you listen to the podcast or you watch YouTube, hopefully you read it because it could change your life. Get it on Audible. I listened to a book today. I actually started listening yesterday because I knew I was going to focus on this book, Start With Why. And I really want to talk about this at the end of the conversation, at the end of the podcast. But Start With Why by Simon Sinek. I read this book 3 years ago now, and one of the first books I read when I took over the company, and it completely made sense to me. And I just read it again. I'm listening to it. I probably listened to about 2 hours yesterday, maybe 3 hours today, so I got about 3 hours left. But it's very simple and down to earth, and it just makes sense. Apple products, they start with why. They don't tell you how they do it. They don't tell you what they do. They start with why. So I highly recommend this book, and I highly recommend Giftology. Last week was Giftology. This week, Start With Why. Hey, I'm going to call this guy. Hang on a second, and we'll get back to it.
Hello, this is Cameron.
Hey, Cameron.
Hey, James. How's it going?
Hey, good. Is this a good time, or do we need to wait?
Oh, this is perfect.
Perfect.
Good timing.
Sweet, man. How's it going?
Good. I'm a little nervous. I've never done anything like this before, but I'm excited.
Gotcha. No, hey, dude. You know what? We haven't lost anybody to passing out yet, and this is the 3rd podcast, so we'll see. But hey, so you said you're on your way home. You out working, or what was going on?
I'm at home now. I'm all good. I still work a full-time job.
Okay.
I work at a civil engineering company.
Really?
I graduated in 2020. From high school. I'm 20 years old, and this is my first real year of doing everything. So I just do it on the side right now.
Okay. So you're 20 years old. You're out of high school 2 years ago, maybe last fall.
Yep.
Okay. And then you started the company. Did you start the company in high school, or did you just start it?
I mowed, in middle school for some extra money, just a couple of lawns around. Just borrowed Dad's mower, and walked around. In high school, I took a break. I worked at changing tires, and I thought I wanted to go into architecture. And so now I'm at an engineering firm. It's a great company and everything. I just am not a fan of being inside, and being in an office. I like outside. I love camping, and just all that stuff's just my vibe.
Yeah. And First of all, same here. I do a little bit more office work now than I did like 3 years ago, but I just like being outside. And then second, I mean, dude, you're in a good spot for being outside. I mean, Utah, man. I mean, dude, do you go snowboarding?
I haven't done a lot of snowboarding. I've gone a couple times.
Okay. Okay.
I'm big into dirt biking. I'd love a snowmobile someday.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Utah's great. Right now, you know, I have a girlfriend. She's also 20. We met in high school, and we have a camper together, and we go out, and we're gone every weekend.
Yeah.
You know, Utah's just a great place.
Dude,
so
that's what's up. Yeah.
I mow lawns and landscaping. Every once in a while, I'll stay home for a weekend, but a lot of it's actually just on the weeknights.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're 20. You started your lawn company about a year ago, and you're still working. You're not doing it full time, right? This is part time, and then you're trying to make it full time. Am I correct with assuming that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a goal. I don't know how far out that goal is, when it will come into play, but it's definitely a goal of mine.
Gotcha. So, how many lawns do you have now?
So this year we're just kind of. I did my last mow for my last customer last week, and I had 3. I just did it one night a week.
Okay.
Just for a little extra, and then I balance some landscaping jobs in there whenever I can.
Gotcha. So first of all, you got to start somewhere, right? You know, because we started with one lawn, and then we got the neighbor. We had 2. We had 2 for like a while. You know, maybe not like a year, but we had it for a couple months, and then we were just doing 2. I was 9 years old. We got to start somewhere. So do you have any questions? Okay, so a question for me where, hey, this is what I'm kind of struggling with, or this is my question. How do I go to the next step?
So this year's been full of investing in tools, equipment, trailers. I mean, you know the whole deal. I had a truck already, bought a little trailer. I've got 2 push mowers. You know, I think I'm in a good position, and it's hard. I'm trying to decide when the right time is to go full time. You know, I think I enjoy my benefits at my job now, so I don't know exactly when. I'm only 20 years old though, so don't have a mortgage. So it's just kind of, when do you see, and I don't know, maybe you saw this in your dad when you were 9, when was like the right time to jump?
Yeah. Okay. So I hear it all the time, right? So you don't want to be like, if you're in a boat, right, and you want to be close enough to the dock that you don't fall in. Okay. So whatever you make, right? Let's just say we don't have to put out real numbers, but let's say you make $30,000 a year. Okay, that's probably a lot for a 20 years old. If you make 30, let's say you make $30,000 a year, and in your lawn care business you only make 5. Right, you make $5,000 a year doing 3 yards. This might be way off, but let's just, for an example, right? You don't want to go full time then, right?
Yeah,
because that's a really extreme risk, right? You're risking a lot. You have to make up $25,000 in revenue. But like next year, right? So let's say next year I got 15 lawns, I got 20 lawns now, and I'm making $15,000 a year, working part-time still, right? Working one day, maybe the weekends, and someone's helping you, or whatever the case may be, by yourself. Well, now, if you're making 30 and you're halfway there, then you look at it, okay, if I went full-time with this, right? If I said, dude, I'm done with this job, I'm going to go full-time, could I double, right? And you have to say, first of all, am I able to support myself, because you don't have a family yet, but am I able to support myself with the money I'm making right now? And then if I went full time with this, how much more time could I spend in going getting more yards, going getting more jobs, making more money to make up for the money that I lost? Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, perfect.
Yeah, and really, so you're a ways away, right? You're a ways away, but I mean, I don't know the area, right? I know in our area, if we pass out 1,000 flyers, and we're getting 10 yards. So I don't know how it works with you, right? If you next year in the spring, boom, as soon as the weather breaks, I'm passing out 500 to 1,000 yards, 500 to 1,000 flyers, right? And then see what you get. The only question you have is, can you handle that? So with your job now, do you work 5 days a week with your job?
Yeah, so I'm 4 9s and then a 4-hour Friday.
Okay.
So I'm usually off at 5 every
Okay.
weeknights.
And then those
Yeah.
3 yards, are you just doing them on Saturday or doing like Friday after you get off work?
So I've done Tuesdays after work, and then next year I'm hoping to get, my brother's in high school, maybe take him or one of his friends out with me, and I think, double the man hour. I could do 5,
Yeah.
just under double what I'm doing now, and then do that 2 times. So around 10 lawns a week would be my goal for next year.
Exactly. So that's basically tripling. And really with that is, what you do. You have all the equipment now, right? You said this year you're really investing in equipment. You have all the equipment now, and it's really about going out and getting those yards. Are you in a good, dense, like normal subdivision area, or are you kind of pretty big yards, or how's it there?
I have to drive from, the 3 properties I mow, I do have to drive from each one to the next.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if I stayed around those 3, because they're all within like 2 cities of each other, I could get a couple at each location and still be within my 10-mile radius or so.
Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. So, but the yards that you have, are they in a good subdivision? Like, you think there's 300 yards in that subdivision, or is there just maybe like a few?
Yeah, they're in good neighborhoods for sure.
All right, yeah. So I mean, if you took those 3, just those 3 neighborhoods, right? You took those 3 neighborhoods, and you had flyers, right? Let's just say you printed up 1,000 flyers, and 1,000 flyers. If you do it right, if they're good flyers, I mean, it's not going to cost you much, right? It might maybe cost you $50, but if you get 1 yard, then that's definitely worth it. If you got enough flyers to hit those subdivisions 3 times. And it's a lot of work. I mean, dude, you might be walking at night. But is your goal to get to 10? I guess my question is, how did you get those 3? How did you get those 3?
One's my uncle, and then the other 2 are just kind of word of mouth, and family, friends, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And then they tell other people, and I've done a lot of I've done some concrete work, some gravel, and I really enjoy that stuff a lot, doing the landscaping side.
Okay. So I guess that should have been my question at the beginning. Are you thinking that, hey, I want to go after jobs, or you want to go after the reoccurring revenue?
I think it's good, and that's another question I had on how to balance the 2.
Yeah.
But I enjoy the jobs more, seeing kind of more of a project turn out and using machinery and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But of course, the renewing revenue of mowing is great. So I think keeping those 10 during the week, and then maybe do every other weekend, fit in a job or something like that.
Yeah, and really with part-time, you don't. The way you make the most money is doing more profitable jobs. The nice thing about reoccurring revenue is if you don't go out and sell a job that week, you still have those 10 yards that you're going to mow, whether they're $30, that's $300 a week, or whatever the case may be. So that reoccurring revenue, like for us, right, we have our goal over the last 3 years has been to build that reoccurring revenue. Mm-hmm. Right? We haven't really gone after jobs that much, right? We haven't really gone after those big landscape jobs, or we turned down a lot of those jobs because we've been focused on the reoccurring revenue. But now, this next year, we're not looking to grow. We're at 250 yards right now. We're not looking to grow past that. Really, we're staying at 250. We're going to drop some and then get new ones that are more profitable, but we're staying at that 250 because that's where we want to stay at, and then go focus on the jobs and put more time on that. But I think you're smart as in to do, okay, I'm going to get 10 reoccurring jobs, and that should be your if you want my advice, that should be your number one goal next year, is to get to 10 or maybe get to 7, whatever it is. But you need to get those reoccurring jobs lined up and then go to those jobs you enjoy. Because down the road, I mean, you might come to the realization, hey, dude, I got enough work to just do jobs for the next 5 weeks, and I'm not going to mow anymore. I'm just going to do the jobs. Mm-hmm. But that's maybe down the road. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to hear you say that. I mean, somebody's as big as you guys are still working on getting that reoccurring income.
Mm-hmm. And so here's the thing about reoccurring in our situation, right? For your situation, you all you have to do is teach yourself how to do a job, right? A landscape job or a project, right? Mm-hmm. You just have to teach yourself. But for us, if we have, let's just say we have 4 guys, or let's just say 6 guys going out, 3 different crews, and we got to teach them how to do a job. Well, every job is different. There is a lot more training that goes into jobs and projects. With mowing, reoccurring revenue of the mowing or bushes, or you just have to teach them once, and then you don't really have to teach them again. Every project's a little different, and it does take less training to teach somebody how to mow grass. So we're just looking to make it as easy as on ourselves as possible. That's what we're trying to do. If I was in your situation, I wouldn't max myself out with mowing because I want to make more money on the projects. I don't know if that answers your question or not.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, no, it definitely does. And it kind of along with that, and something. So you guys last podcast kind of talked about kind of your organization, and kudos to that guy, man, for having those 15 lawns already. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's killing it.
And how do you organize in the office? Like, I want to put practices into place before I get big enough where I'm like, okay, now I need practices. You said you use what was the software you used?
We use Service Autopilot.
What is like a good beginner? You said there's free ones out there.
Yep.
I know there's Yardbook is free for a little bit. Jogger's kind of expensive. There's multiple. What's the best one you think?
So here's the thing. To be honest, completely honest with you, we've only used Service Autopilot. Before I took over 3 years ago, we didn't have a software program. We were using like Excel, and it was terrible, and it was like the worst thing in the world. It killed my aunt. It didn't kill my aunt literally, but my aunt just was so frustrated with it. So it's the first thing I did. One of the first things I did was I got a software program, and I've been studying Service Autopilot. And so in our situation, we had about 120 yards at that time. We were big enough to get Service Autopilot and make that transition in the winter. So I've never used Yardbook. I've never used anything else. But what I hear is Yardbook. And my brother, he has a lawn care company. He used to a couple years ago. He used Yardbook, and he liked it, And in your situation, I wouldn't pay, $100 a month for Service Autopilot when you don't need it, right? Yardbook is fine. The thing I would say is, if you start getting to 25 yards, and you're like, man, I'm full time now, I would make the transition then, right? And you're looking to grow quickly. But if you have 3 and you're looking to go to 10, I think Yardbook, from what I hear, Yardbook seems to be fine, because you can collect credit cards, charge credit cards. You can get their email. You can do all that stuff with Yardbook, from what I hear. Does that make sense? You're right, dude. With organization, we just weren't that organized 3 years ago. Now we still need work, but it's so much better. And having a software program that you like it is huge.
That's kind of my main goal this winter, because obviously with the 3 lawns, I'm not big enough to plow yet. I still have my normal job, and I kind of want to take this winter and put practices into place so I can have the capacity for those 10, 7 lawns, know.
And it's huge because, you have that software program, and you have their email, right? You got to get their email every time you get a client, no matter what. For us, we're at the point where if you don't give us your email, you can't be our client. Because we can't. Really? If we're going to be behind schedule, if it rains, we can't call everybody. We need your email. So email, phone number, so you can send out emails, right? Like if you have 10 customers and say, hey, I'm going to do bushes. Well, you can just push a button or type out an email and push a button, and it goes to 10 emails. Boom. Hey, we're doing bushes this month. Would you like an estimate? And 2 people might message you back. So that email is powerful, and having a software program is definitely smart. Because if we would have had a software program 10 years ago, our life would have been so much easier.
That's a good point. Yeah, because even like the rainy days this year, I'm having to talk with 3 separate people, and they have their own lives and stuff. They can't answer all the time or whatever it may be. I mean, even with as little as 3 people, it's definitely
and for like estimates too. So like if they want an estimate, you can set it up to where, it doesn't even email them. You can text them. Like, hey, I looked at your bushes. This is how much it's going to be. Boom. And they can just respond yes. And you don't even have to call them. Like, we don't talk to 85% of our customers ever. The only people I put on TikTok are the complaints, and because those get the most views, right?
Yeah.
So
All those calls you do.
yeah. So like 85% of the customers we never talk to. We just email them or we text them, and we don't. The office work is so much less. So having a software program is so smart, dude. And you need to study it, but from what I hear, Yardbook is totally fine and it will work for you.
Okay, perfect. How do you manage? So you've said you've done a lot more office work lately.
Mm-hmm.
How do you manage doing the work and doing the back end work? Obviously, while I'm small, I'm doing both. Is there anything you have to say about that?
Okay, so for like now, right? I have my aunt. She works on Thursday and she does the payroll. So she does all the office work on Thursdays. Anything she can't take care of, I take care of it. I have a secretary that works on Tuesdays and Fridays, so they do the office work there. So, but before 2 years ago, I didn't have an office worker, and managing that, I guess I need to put myself in your shoes, right? With three lawns, you getting a Google number for one, right? If you can do that, it's free. You could just get a Google number so they don't have your personal cell phone. From now on, I mean, no, the 3 customers are going to have it. But from now on, they don't get your cell phone, so they can't text you at night, right? They have a Google phone number. So you can get a Google phone, and it calls to your phone, but they don't know, and you can turn it off, like you can silence it, all that. Getting that is big, right? So you don't have to deal with customers 24/7. You only have to deal with customers when you're in business, right?
Yeah.
And then handling the office work, there's a book called 2 Second Lean. It talks about being organized. It's just getting organized to what works for you, right? And what we used to do is the list, like put the list together. Just for an example, we put the list together the morning of, and really, with the morning of, everything gets backed up. What if something happens, right? What if the printer doesn't work? What if this doesn't happen? Well, we started doing it the night before. It's something simple. It sounds very simple, but it changed our lives. Well, now we don't have to worry. If something happens at night, well, we can stay late at night and fix it before tomorrow morning and then go from there. So like the route list. I'm just giving you ideas of how we keep it organized. I don't know. You could think of like any specific things after I get done with this next one, but just give you what we did. We used to have at night, when the crews got done with their list, right? So they had their checklist or they have their route list, and they would check it off, fill in their hours, and then they would put it in a bucket. He would put it in a little bucket on my dad's desk, and it just got cluttered, and it was crazy, and it just made everything more complicated. It wasn't in order, right? It would just get all mixed up. So we have these little trays on our wall when you first walk in the door of our office. On the wall, there's a one that says Monday, and underneath it Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then there's one underneath that has the checks, right? The checks for people could pick up their checks for payroll. And literally, I mean, you know how, so instead of walking in and see a cluttered desk full of route sheets from the last 4 days, you look up at the wall and there's one, the Monday's list are in the Monday slot. And then underneath that is Tuesday, and it's so organized. There's little things, and really 2 Second Lean completely helped me with that. Like, it was funny. We had when I took over, we didn't have 6. We had 5 desks in the office. I took out 3 of them because we didn't need them. There was just stuff for people to put stuff on. So we just organized our life and made it simpler. And the book 2 Second Lean talks about just fixing what bugs you, right? If something bugs you, fix it. So I don't know if you have anything specific when I was talking about that. Does that make sense, though?
Well, yeah, it does. And I think there's something very interesting about you. I've noticed you've talked about mowers and how in growing to that 250, weekly lawns, you have actually gotten rid of 2 mowers, and you just saying you got rid of a couple desks.
Yeah.
I think that's cool because not a lot of people are talking about having to do that declutter every once in a while.
Yeah, and it's spring. You know how they talk about spring cleaning. So really, why so we had 7 mowers, and we're like, we got to grow. And at the beginning, we're like, man, dude, we need to buy a couple more mowers. And once we started getting organized, once we started getting more efficient, once we started dropping yards that were too far away, once we started dropping yards that didn't make us any money, once we started dropping yards that the customer just, all he did was complain, we started to realize, hey, we're making more money focusing on the best customers, right? And really, I don't know if you've ever heard me talk about Pumpkin Plan, but the Pumpkin Plan book really helped with that. We just started focusing on the most profitable clients, and we realized we're making more money at the end of the day doing 20% less. And that's where we got that, right? So we're like, actually, we don't need to buy any mowers. We could just sell a mower here and then a little bit later a mower there, where we can bring in some money and we actually don't need that mower. And it was the same mower. They were good mowers, but we didn't buy any more, and now we have 5, and we do more yards and more money with less mowers because we got a little bit more organized and we shrunk our business gross wise, but we focused on the net.
That's interesting. I really like how you kind of do the declutter. And speaking of some of those books you're talking about, I have been really interested in your 4 bank account system. And how I seen this comment on one of your videos. Somebody asked, how do you pay yourself? And I think that's a great question.
Yeah. So first of all, it's not mine. It's Profits First, right? I read the book Profits First, and Profits First and Pumpkin Plan are in my top 5 of business books, and they're written by the same author. So I highly recommend those books. Like, if you could listen to a book this winter or whatever, just read it or listen to it, because those 2 books really changed our business completely. So I was already organized with my finances. Okay, I really was. Like, since college, I've had 2 accounts. I've had 3 accounts personally forever. Right, I had a checking account, I had a regular savings account, and then I had an emergency fund that I haven't touched in 10 years. It has the same amount of money in there. And I was already organized. But with business, I was like, man, how do I do this? So I read the book Profits First, and it really it's nothing like magical, right? It's not like, oh, it's magical, it helps you save money. No, it really, when you open up your bank account and your online banking, as soon as you open it up, how much profits do we have, right? How much money do we have for taxes? How much money do we have in our general operations that we can use for like gas and insurance and our bills? And then we have our payroll account, right? We have our payroll account where the only thing that we do write checks out of is for payroll. And the question where how do you pay yourself is our accountant said, hey, just pay yourself a regular check, and at the end of the year, the taxes will be taken out just like it would from the business. So the first year in business, and you know what? I have an accountant that I trust, right? He's been doing it for 25 years. And he said, look, the first year I just wrote myself a check, took taxes out, just like I would the other people. The next year, he said, hey, just take a draw. Don't take taxes out, take a draw. So I give myself a certain amount per week, and I just put a percentage on what we bring in. For me personally, this is what I do. I just bring in, right, if let's just say we bring in $5,000 that week. Well, I put a percentage. Let's say, okay, I'm going to pay myself 5%, no matter how much we bring in. If we bring in less, I make less. If we bring in more, I make more. And I pay myself a percentage. That's how I can do it now. I don't know. I wouldn't do that, if I had 4 lawns, unless you said I'm going to pay myself 50%. You can make up a number, but so with that, that's how I pay myself. I pay myself a percentage, and really over this year, the percentage has gone down. Right. So the more, like, if I, let's say I'm bringing in 5,000 consistently, but then the next year I bring in 8,000, my percentage doesn't need to go up because we're making more money. It actually should go down. And just depends on how much money you want to put back into the business, right? If you want to put more back in the business, invest, then, you keep it, I keep it low. So, and then I just pay myself a check, right? Or, well, my aunt writes out the checks. I give my aunt, went down the bank, had her signed up so she can write checks for me. And she writes all of our checks, and she gives me a check at the week, and this is how much we brought in, and she does it. So I pay myself a percentage, and then I pay myself a regular check like that.
That's cool. I like that. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. I never even thought of that.
It's pretty simple. Like I didn't, me and my brother 2 years ago, we paid ourselves a certain amount, and really the reason why is because it was a struggle, right? We were trying to be as frugal as possible, and so I didn't want to pay myself a lot, so I just kept it at a certain amount. This year, we're like, hey, we're doing better. We're starting to get past the stage of cutting back. So let's pay ourselves a percentage. So if we make more, we can take home more.
Yeah, for sure. Like this year, I personally haven't really made anything because all the money that I have has been trying to be reinvested. You know,
that's so smart. That's like the smartest thing you could do, right? Even if you did that for 3 years and you lived off your other job and you just put money, because eventually, dude, like if you have a riding lawnmower, those 3 yards, you could get 10 yards done in the same amount of time almost, So eventually, like that's what we did. That's what I did for 3 years now. It's reinvest, be as frugal as possible, and then you'll start to see the benefits. But I don't know if that helps. I got one more question. All right.
Why would you recommend being a business owner, and especially in the lawn and landscape community?
In the lawns, okay, for me, so last podcast I talked to a guy in Florida, so it's different. But for me, the reason why I love landscape and lawn care, I haven't gone away from it since I was 9 years old, is for me personally, I get 4 months off in the winter. It's true. It's not like I do like it. I do love it. I enjoy the business. I enjoy growing the business. I enjoy all of that. I love making straight lines. I love making bushes look good. I love all that. But at the same time, I don't have the business, me personally, I don't have the business just to make a lot of money and just to work and grow a business. I have the business to give myself freedom, and I have set myself up to where we're done middle of November, or maybe this year a little bit different, end of November, and we're not going to start working spring cleanups till like the end of March. That's 3, sometimes 4 months that we're off, and it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen right away because I've been fortunate to be frugal for a lot of my life, and I've been able to save in the summer to set myself up to where I can coach basketball like I love, right? I can go on Christmas to out of town. I can go on vacations in the summer. I mean in the winter. But that's why I would recommend. There's pros and cons. I think I did a video on this. There's pros and cons to seasonal jobs, right? But the biggest pro to me is you're off. You're not working 3 months out of the year. You're in Utah, right? You're not working 3 months out of the year. Maybe right now you think, man, I wish I could mow my lawns all year round. But the goal should be, hey, I'm getting to the point where, dude, I'm glad I get 3 months off, right?
Especially and you're in your position and you have a family.
Yeah, exactly. I have 2 kids and a wife. And like I told the last guy, my goals have changed from 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I didn't have 2 kids. I didn't have any kids. My goals have changed a little bit now, where I'm like, hey, I just want my life to be easier and maybe not grow as fast and grow as strong, because I want to spend time with my kids. I want to spend time with my wife. The lawn and landscape company, the lawn and landscape community and career, it really does. It provides that, And like I said, if you're in Florida, it doesn't provide that. But for me, and where I live, it's good. And the last thing I would say about that is it can really help with not being burnt out, right? Because sometimes you're grinding and you're growing and you're mowing and you're mowing and you're mowing sun up to sundown. Well, you could get burned out pretty quick. But with the 3 months off, 4 months off, it makes you rejuvenate. It helps you take a step back and work on your business and not just in it. And that's what we've been able to do. That's a great question, man. That is a great question.
Do you find it hard to find guys that, like employees that are willing to do the same, or is it hard because you have that? Not everybody wants that off season.
So yeah, exactly. And the guys that we have now, they have to go find other jobs. Like my brother, he does refereeing. He's been refereeing for the last 3 years, and it's a great job for him because it's perfect timing. It starts in November. Guys that we help with, hey, we help this guy this year. Hey, get on UPS seasonal work, and he's making the same amount of money. He's making like. For UPS, he's making like $20 an hour, driving his own car, delivering packages. A couple of guys, they got on DoorDash, and they were making like $20 an hour doing DoorDash. As the boss, as their leader, I feel like it's my responsibility to find work for them sometimes.
Yeah.
And my ultimate goal, and last thing is my ultimate goal, is to take the profits from the business and buy a rental property and fix it up in the winter for my guys. They're going to help paint the walls. They're going to help put the
That's a great idea.
So that's my goal. And, my goal is to have rentals down the road anyways, and have work for them where, hey, okay, we're going to stop mowing. We're going to stop doing fall cleanups. And then boom, we're going to fix up this house so we can rent it out when we get it done in the spring.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah. I know a couple people with rental properties and stuff. I think that's a great plan.
Mm-hmm. And really, yeah. So that's really it. Hey man, I appreciate you not being too nervous to call in. I appreciate you being okay with being recorded. Hey, in a year from now, like I told the last guy, in the year from now, man, we can have that conversation and say, hey, I got 10 yards now, and I've done a job a week or whatever the case may be, a job every 2 weeks, and so we got the goals, right? The goal is 10 yards, and almost maybe the year after next is we got full time if you still want to do it, man.
Yeah, I hope that throughout the next couple of years you can watch me grow, and I really appreciate your advice today and everything, and it really means a lot, man. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for calling in, brother. You have a good one.
Yeah, you as well. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys. Hey, like I said, everybody's in different stages of their business. Last caller had 15 lawns. He had a fiance. He didn't have he was full-time with the lawn care company, a little bit older. And this guy just started out. He just started out. And I'm telling you right now, it depends on what he wants to do. He might a year down the road be like, I don't want to do lawn care anymore. Or he might get to the point this year where he says, man, I have too much work and I need to go full-time. I hope that's the case for him. I hope that he gets to the point where he's like, I have to go full-time because I have too much work. Look, if you want to call in, message me on Instagram because I really like having conversations, because some conversations we're going to have is going to be with a business owner that I know, and they don't have a lawn care company. They just own a business, and I've seen them grow, and they've seen me grow. People that I look up to who have businesses, who have 140 rental properties, or who have a cup sticker business, and they've grown it to over $200,000 in a year. I really want to have those conversations, but at the same time, I want to have most of my content, I want to be phone calls from you guys. Hey, look, I started with it. We talked about giftology last week. We started with why. Homework is to read the book Start With Why. Because if you don't know why you're doing it, my reason for having the lawn care company is simple. I want freedom to spend time with my family and do what the Lord wants me to do. It's plain and simple. I've turned down businesses. I've turned down business. I've turned down jobs. I've turned down opportunities because it didn't line up with that. And it said that would take up way too much of my time, and I want that freedom. And I hope you get to that point. I hope you get to, if you're where he is, I hope you get to the point where, hey, I got 15 lawns, like the last caller last week. I got 15 lawns, and I'm ready to go. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate subscribing. If you enjoyed this, if it meant something, if it helped you, subscribe, share it to some, because if it helped you, it helps someone else. Like I said, signing off for now. This is the Goodall Show. I'm James Goodall, your host.